So let's slow down for a second. Because when I say the books that raised me, I don't mean the books I read once and forgot about. I mean the books that quietly rewired how I think. The ones that taught me how stories work, how fear works, how wonder works, how escape works. These weren't just books, they were places I lived in for a while. So let's talk about it. Let's take you back in time. I'm Dov James and this is the Bold Book Geek. Before I even talk about specific titles, I have to talk about the ritual. Scholastic book fairs didn't feel like school. It felt like a sacred event, like the building had temporarily converted into something holy. Those hold-out tables, the glossy catalogues with the fluorescent circles drawn around the books you wanted like you were planning a heist. The smell, paper, plastic, chemicals, and that strange school smell that only exists in childhood memory. You weren't just buying books, you were choosing who you were going to be for the next few weeks, what worlds you were going to explore. So let's start with the basics. Goosebumps was the first book I remember making fear feel safe. They taught me that being scared didn't have to mean danger, that you could flirt with terror, dip a toe in and then come back laughing. Those covers did so much work. Glossy, loud, slightly grotesque, or downright creepy. They promised you something shocking, and 9 times out of 10 they absolutely lied, and somehow that made it better. R.L. Stine taught me pacing without me even realizing it. He taught me cliffhangers. He taught me that twists didn't have to be clever. Sometimes they just had to be fun, and honestly, those books made reading addictive. Once you realize a book can mess with your emotions like that, you're done, and there's no going back, and I mean that in the best way possible. Then there was Animorphs. They happened, and this is where things changed. Animorphs didn't just scare me, it respected me. It trusted me with complicated ideas before I had language for them. War, loss, identity, the idea that doing the right thing might just destroy you. These books were about children who didn't get to go back to normal, who carried the weight of saving the world and didn't get a parade for it. And I think that mattered. These books showed me early that stories didn't always have to end clearly. The heroes don't always get rewarded. And sometimes survival is the only victory you got, and that sticks with you. Here's something I don't talk about enough. Books were never a punishment. They were never used against me. They weren't punishment, or they weren't homework. They weren't your grounded go read. They were a gift. My mum understood something really critical, that if you turn reading into a chore, you kill it. So books became shelter instead, somewhere I could disappear into when everything else felt too loud or confusing. That single thing shaped my entire relationship with stories, and probably why books still feel like home even to this day, decades later. When Harry Potter hit, it wasn't just a series, it was a shared hallucination. Everyone was reading it, everyone was talking about it, everyone secretly believed they'll get a letter from Hogwarts delivered by an owl. And as a kid who already lived half in an imaginary world, they mattered. These books weren't perfect, but they were magic, and they made it feel reachable. Like it might exist just slightly out of view, waiting for the right person to notice. Reading them, the first two, on a train in 1998, I don't remember where we were going or why we were on a train. I remember the feeling more than the plot as well. The sense of momentum, that I couldn't stop turning pages buzz. That's when I learnt how powerful immersion really is. You can get lost in a world, and that world can feel frighteningly real, in a good way. Then you have the His Dark Materials. It didn't just hit me once, they waited. As a kid, they were adventure, armoured bears and witches and parallel worlds. As a teenager, they were rebellion. But as an adult, their grief, love, faith, doubt, all tangled together. These books didn't care if you were comfortable. They asked big questions and refused to soften them. And I think that's why they endure. They didn't change, you do. And somehow they're already there waiting for every version of you that comes back. Okay, this one's an obscure one, but the Queen's knows. It sits in this strange middle space of 90s children's fiction. A girl and a 50p coin and an uncle who was slightly weird. In a good way. No epic fantasy, no pure realism, just odd, slightly magical, slightly dangerous, slightly moral in a way that didn't talk down to you. These books filled my school libraries. They weren't flashy. They didn't have merchandise, just covers based on a TV show. But they shaped imagination anyway, and I miss that era, that messy middle where kids' books were allowed to be strange, because so many children's books now are way too safe. At some point, books stop being just stories. They become coping mechanisms, focus anchors, escape hatches, gateways into other worlds. Charity shops become my hunting grounds. Every battered spine was a promise, every awful cover hid potential, and honestly that instinct has never really left. I still scan the shelves the same way. Still get that little bolt of joy whenever I find something unexpected. It's never quite left me. To this day, I still will hunt charity shops in the most random places looking for books. These books didn't just entertain me, they taught me how to feel deeply. How to sit with fear, how to imagine other people's lives, how to survive boredom, loneliness, and confusion. They didn't make me who I am alone, but they helped. They stood next to me while I was figuring things out. And if you had books like that too, you know exactly what I mean. That one paperback, that creased cover, the pages that smell like time. These books don't leave you. They never truly leave you. They raised you. They're part of your identity as a human being, whether we admit it or not. So if you like this weird little video, like, subscribe, hit that hype button. And if you want to support this channel, there are plenty of ways of doing it. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.